What is poppin', people? You got Jay Bear here, bringing you all Shuckle Premier League Week 4 Season 4 draft notes, where I'll be taking you through all things Shuckle Premier League to get you all prepared to watch the games for this week. We'll recap what happened last week and then dive into the matchups this week, try to pinpoint what might come, what might not, and give you a prediction on who wins. And just before we get into that, I just wanted to ask that you all please leave a like and subscribe. I've had so much fun getting to break down the Shuckle Premier League, and I hope that you all have enjoyed as well and want to stick with me on this journey. But in addition to that, I also just wanted to give a quick spoiler warning. Of course, as always, I'm just in about 5 seconds going to reveal the outcome of last week's games. This is your last chance to stop watching before you end up finding out what happened. 3, 2, 1. Alrighty, so first things first. Our pick'ems doing, we go up to 8-4. That's halfway. It's like halfway through the league, halfway to where I want to be. So perfect on that. Me in 1 week, we'll take it. Now let's go into diving into what happened. The first one between Swave and Shuckle King was a battle of the Ogre Ponds, and it did not disappoint. Shuckle got off to a very, very strong start out with what I think is the set of the game. It might not have won in the game, but that lead choice spec Screamtail fire blasting treads for like 85% as it got knocked, which actually worked in his favor. Manaphy comes in on the boom burst, takes like half. Specs isn't even on anymore, and then back to treads to just as a sack, and then the game is played. But like it was a 5v6, but Swave was able to clutch it up with the help of screens of Manaphy, and then the Ogre Pond battle. His Ogre Pond Hearthflame emerges victorious. Pretty close game. Swave takes it 2-0. Up next, we have the battle of the buddies, Seabad versus Boffin. And this was another great game. Great showing for Boffin, especially that Ogre Pond Rock, which, I'm proud that I predicted that. At the time, I forgot that Quagsire's Water Absorb could have been a thing. Or not Water Absorb, Sap Sipper could have been a thing, but still able with the Zapdos to claim that Clodsire. Seabad had a lot of really good sequences, especially playing around with Infernape versus Swampert, that Choice Band Desolate Land Infernape, blocking the flip turn, and then coming in, he baited an Earthquake previously, and then baited flip turn out to come in with that Infernape and stop that flip turn. It was a very, very good sequence for Seabad, but ultimately Boffin able to stay stable and in the end clean up with Ogre Pond. Endgame got a little bit dicey, but ultimately it didn't matter too much. Ogre Pond was able to just rain down those Ivy cutters. This was a week of Ogre Ponds as Boffin takes it and goes to 2-1. Our next game, Joey versus Olivia. This was another, probably the closest game of the week, but another Victory Bell showing, man. Like, I did not predict Victory Bell to be anything of value, and yet here it is, putting up numbers, taking names. This time, it was Great Tusk. Last week, it was Ironmouth. Those are two of the top tiers in the league, and 2 round 1 picks, and Victory Bell dismantled both of them. So, I gotta give it its flowers, man. This time with the Prankster set, Strength Sap being so good off of Prankster. Highlight of the game was definitely Liv with the Choice Band Quick Draw Charge-a-Bug, almost to a KOing Kilowattrel. That's kind of embarrassing for Kilowattrel, but ultimately AIM was able to pick it up with the help of that Victory Bell, and also Tinkaton with the regen, really doing the Tinkaton thing, coming in, getting up rocks, shoving out Encores, and just being an overall nuisance, like doing exactly that. Even through a couple of Thunderbolt paralyses, Joey was able to hang on and win this one 1-0. And then we had Nexus versus Callum, and this was, like, I think all the games were great. Callum got himself into a very good spot early. It was like a very much a back and forth sequence with Ursaluna on Nexus' side, Iron Hands on Callum's side. The Pyapa Berry hands did very, very well, baited out Azelf perfectly, exactly what it needed to do, and ultimately was able to take that Mon and also get a little bit more chips subsequently with Drain Punches and the like. And then late game, we found ourselves with the Hoopa under screens, was able to Destiny Bond, and Chanpao comes out, Crown comes out. We live a crunch and just can weakness policy Tachyon through, but it gets crit. Callum thinks the game is lost, but still Cinderace ultimately able to clutch it up. Electro Ball was really, really good prep for the Well-Baked Body Skarmory, able to come in, and even though it gave it the Well-Baked Body boost, it was able to just do a KO right after with the Electro Ball, which was super awesome to see. And then Slitherwing not having the first impression, everything just settled just right for Cinderace to take home the W. Take Callum up to 1-2. It's going to be a tight race for that 4th playoff slot, it looks like right now. Seabad and Swave halfway there. I think one more win likely locks it up for them, considering that there are 4 teams that already have 2 losses plus, or 2 losses and a 5th that has plus. Boffin's in a pretty good spot with the 2-1. He probably needs 2 more. My guess is that 4-2 will make 3-3 will probably get in. Maybe one of them. There will probably be a couple 3-3s, and some will, some won't. So, you know, it's only week 3 is done, but we're already talking about playoffs like that because it is a very, very tight race. Now we can get on to our matchup predictions. Firstly, Shuckle King versus Seabed. It was hard for me to pick feature mons this week across the board. The teams got so much better, I think, with these final round of transactions. Like now you can see Shuckle has a Gliscor and a Spidops that are new. Seabad put his in last week and makes his team very, very formidable. But I really like the Reggie Alecki here. I have to pull up these abilities to refresh myself on what exactly has what. But the Alecki just looks really, really solid with like a standard refrigerate set. Still doesn't like hit Quagsire for super effective damage, but it is still able to output a lot of overall like strong hits. And Quag is kind of bulky, but like it's not like immovable, you know, like the Hyper Voice, if it's like choice specs, can probably still do around like 40-45%. And then Seabed's core is Well-Baked Body. It's not Volt Absorb. That's what I wanted to pull up. It being Well-Baked Body, not as good for the Instant, very good for this Alecki here. Other highlight mons, Mamoswine looks very solid. Just being able to get through. I think it has to contend with like an Intim core here though, which could be a bit annoying for it. Goldie always looks good. Iron Moth and Infernape kind of make it a bit challenging to get in, but you have outlets to get in, such as Gardevoir. It just feels a little bit slow. This matchup might need to be forced into Choice Scarf. And then on Seabad's side, Iron Moth didn't come last week. I hope it comes this week, man. It looks so good. Outside of like Dragalge, right? Dragalge is quite good into it. Very, very tough to break that with the regen. But you still have like Psychic. Psychic can do good damage. Either Sheer Force or Magic Guard can both work. It might be a bit like good to run the like Sheer Force Life Orb set to just get that like over that hump. I think that you might need to kill like Dragalge with Psychic after a little bit, which seems really, really nice for this Moth. And outside from that, like the stabs look really good into this team. Sludge Wave plus Flamethrower just kind of nuke a lot of what Shuckle wants to do here. So I think that this Moth can be crazy. Other highlight standouts for me include Infernape, especially if it's like these combination will put a lot of pressure on Dragalge and make it tough to staying around for too long, even with Regenerator. The Hisuian Samurott to get up some spikes seems pretty nice. Shuckle's removal isn't that good. It's the Regieleki, but Regielecki's so good, right? And it's like, if it's so good but it's spinning, then it's maybe not as like oppressive here. And then of course Petrarunt can be really good. I like it here for Ogerpon mainly. It looks like we're probably going to want to be Prankster here. Fluffy doesn't really help with too much. I guess maybe Gyapdos, but I feel like you can naturally do well enough against Gyapdos where that Prankster Recover, Prankster Parting Shot, Prankster Toxic even can all look really, really nice here. But pick'ems wise, I will pick Shuckle King to win this one. Our second matchup here features Nexus versus Swave. Nexus has a couple cool new hitters like this Landorus and the Jirachi as well. Landorus, for those of you who are unaware, is Fluffy and Terravolt, which is just Mold Breaker. Fluffy Lando especially though looks really, really strong here. Jirachi here is Intimidate and Vessel of Ruin. Of course, Ursaluna's gone, so that freed up the Vessel of Ruin, and the Intim also looks really, really nice here. Cha is Well-Baked Body Prankster. Pretty good set of abilities for it, I can't lie. Swalot's here, Earth Eater, Unaware. Pikachu, Hadron Engine, Dark Aura. I think Braviary's new Magic Guard Shadow Shield. So yeah, a lot of cool new options for Nexus, but I think the coolest one this week is the Landorus. I wish it was Aerialate, but still, I like the Fluffy a lot here. You're probably going to want to have a fighting coverage move for ground Levitate Iron Treads, but other than that, like EQ, fighting, U-turn, looks pretty solid here. You might also want, like, yeah, you're gonna want something like a Rock Slide or a Stone Edge for Thunderous, but looks really good here in general. So I like that Landorus just offensively, I think does exactly what you need it to. And then Iron Treads is going to be pressured, but by the combination of Prim and Lando, it can kind of wall one, right? Based on like their stabs, if it has the right absorption, but it might not, because it can only pick one between ground and water to be immune to. Chen Pao's another highlight mon for me here. It's always good, but like here, especially having Sucker Punch makes it a very consistent answer to the Iron Boulder, and just like these Crunch plus Crash Stab looks really good, except for Girder. Man, this guy actually kind of saucy here, between Chen Pao, between Landorus, that if it's not Psychic, and Slitherwing, gives it a solid niche in this matchup to really just sit and do a lot of damage and knock off for a lot of items. I think can be very potent as well, just like knock off, Drain Punch. Hazards aren't that good, so I don't think you need like Defog, but like knock, drain, mock, and then like you have a couple of options for your last move. I would consider something like Poison Jab for Prim, and also just like, you know, throwing out poisons can't hurt. Ice Punch is also really nice for Landorus, so there's plenty of options for this Girder, but time will tell how it gets played, but I do think that it comes here. I'm pretty confident in that. So if I had to pick who wins, I think Swave does, because I didn't really talk about it much. Boulder looks really good once you get past Lando. Manaphy looks incredible. Just like a Tail Glow set, I think this week can be really good. Thundy and Arch, pretty good potent combination. Hearthflame as well. So I think there's a lot of like good Pokemon that Swave has, and I think his team just is going to be very hard for Nexus to pick out, and I think he'll play with an information advantage that will be key to his victory. So I will pick Swave for this one. Alrighty, our third matchup, we see Olivia versus Boffin, and this is the Meowscarada matchup, except there's like things, right? Like there's Cobalion and there's Giwis, but those are both like very good like U-turn targets, and like Zap with no static, Garchomp with no rough skin. Like normally in those matchups you're forced into pads Meowscarada, but those abilities don't actually exist here, so you can get away with like a boosting item and like low kick to potentially just get around Cobalion entirely, make it so that only G-Weezing's an issue. But for both of those Pokemon, like a Choice Scarf Heatran looks really good, or what I would personally want to run here, which is like a Power Herb Solar Beam Heatran, I think looks really nice here. Heatran did have like a slight ability change up. It now no longer has that fire immunity, I believe, from the Well-Baked Body. Yeah, we transitioned it to Desolate Land, which makes it probably not come into play this matchup. I think the Earth Eater looks really nice for Garchomp specifically. So I think that's going to be a very good Pokemon here. And then Great Tusk obviously can punish the Cobalion, and together with Meow can punish Galarian Weezing. It's probably going to be a Prankster Galarian Weezing, so it might be a bit challenging to avoid being Will-O-Wisps, but Heatran's always really free, so it can be a really potent attacker here. And then I think endgame Sinistra Poltegeist has a lot of very powerful applications here. Just like there's not a Ghost Resist, so I mean like it's Crawdaunt, but like Poltegeist naturally has Giga Drain, so you don't need like to run Pixelate. You can get away with Shadow Shield and just like a Strength Sap, Giga Drain, Shadow Ball. Shell Smash looks really free here, which I really like on Liv's side. On Boffin's side, look at this Entei. Now that the Heatran has no fire immunity, there's like Dondozo, but I feel like you have potential options, and then Lycanroc, of course, but like a special Entei, don't get me wrong. I think this could be like a matchup where both coaches actually wield a Power Herb Solar Beam Fire type. That is a legendary, and I wouldn't be surprised by it, but I think that you don't really need Pixelate here. It's nice for Tusk, but it's not necessary. So I think just like a Desolate Land actually, and you don't even need Power Herb, so that's pretty awesome, right? Like you don't need to be locked into that move. But like Calm Mind Entei could be even really cool as well. Calm Mind Fire, Grass. I guess you might want Pixelate to better deal damage to Hydro, but I don't think you need it. And then, yeah, you just got to deal with Lycanroc Dusk, and you should be good, which is why I do like a lot of what Boffin can do here. Same with Swampert. I really like it just being able to flip turn around. I think the Heatran so likely is whatever its ability is called, Levitate, or no, Earth Eater. So I think that Swampert will be able to flip turn around pretty freely here, and I really like that option, and I think that Boffin will win. And last but not least, Joey versus Callum. This was probably the hardest Pokemon, or the hardest matchup for me to decide feature Pokemon. They both actually have pretty good Pokemon into one another, and like good counterplay to the good Pokemon. For Joey here is between Hydreigon and Terrakion, the Gen 5 All-Stars. Hydreigon, I decided to give it the edge because I think that it synergizes very well with Latios, and also just like being able to U-turn into Terrak gave me the edge to like pick it here. But like Dark Pulse with like Mega Launcher, really nice here, and then like U-turn out on whatchamacallit, Tinglu or Hydro Pump for it, both pretty good options. And then like Draco Meteor, and U-turn also very nice if like it's Porygon 2 and you U-turn into your Terrakion, you can just click Close Combat. Terrakion has a couple of other benefits, but it's challenging into Iron Hands. Of course, you're not quite dealing enough damage, and then Iron Hands comes in, and now you have to deal with an Iron Hands that's in. Especially if it's like Levitate Iron Hands, then you can't Earthquake it. But I actually like Refrigerate Iron Hands for the Refrigerate Fake Outs for Kilo and Ogerpon and Latios and Hydreigon. That like is kind of a very good fake out, right, if it's Ice type. But yeah, I think this Hydreigon looks really nice, really nasty. And then for Callum, I decided to shout out Cinderace. Yes, there is Volcanion, but that's kind of like the only really good Cinderace answer. And we can figure out the Volcanion problem. It might be a bit challenging, but Porygon 2, I think, is a pretty good, like, bulky enough check into Volcanion, where it's like you'll just be able to like spam like Discharge or something, and like pretty downside free. Discharge looks really good here, and then of course Iron Hands. You could also just be AV, but you're risking burns, so probably wouldn't do that if I were Callum. Can also just like be Vaporeon, and it doesn't have Water Absorb, so you can just like Vaporeon, flip turn, and then like get into like something that can offensively threaten it, like Salamence, without worrying about getting the burn. So I think there's some options there. As for who I pick, it's a bit tough. I think that they both have some very solid fundamentals into each other, but I do just like Joey, just because like his like Hydreigon is very self-sufficient, also opens up the offense. Like it's a very good point guard here, but like a scoring point guard. I don't know basketball that well, but if I did, I would give you a player comp. Yeah, that is all I have for you all this week. I hope you all enjoyed, and I will see you all next week. Peace. Hope you enjoy the games.